afternoon and welcome to Supa Academy Retail Hack 2015. Now we are coming to you live from the Truman Brewery in East London. We'll be with you till 5:30 this evening. Now this weekend people have been streaming through the doors to shop and be part of the UK's first ever youth-led pop-up supermarket. Around 500 young entrepreneurs aged between 18 and 24 have been selling their products both here and online. And over the next hour and a half, well, if you are considering setting up your own business or you're already in the process, well, we hope to be able to answer pretty much everything that you could possibly need to ask about further in that and doing the best job that is absolutely possible about setting up that business of any kind. Now, I promise if you can't make it down here over the next hour and a half, this programme is going to give you an incredible, insightful kind of look at behind what's going on here and hopefully get you excited about the future. We are on social media. We're not going to be kind of doing live tweeting or anything like that, but it's a great place for you to follow what's going on and has been going on over the last couple of days. So on social media, on Twitter, we're at Supa Academy, or just use the hashtag Supa Academy. So to explain the concept of this whole event, the brains behind this organisation, please welcome, joining me on my lovely white leather couches, BJ Malenga and Liam Tuho. How are you? Nice to have you both here. You are going to have to share a mic, but that's all right. You guys are close anyway. I know that. You go way back. Listen, congratulations so far, because I remember talking to you guys about this, months ago. It's here. It's happening. Where did the idea come from? Whose initial kind of thought process started this whole ball rolling?
To give you kind of a top line and the kind of short form answer, we met a few years ago at a hackathon that Google arranged in association with Liberty, who are a youth marketing agency based out of Brixton, the Prince's Trust and the RSA. And that was around the time, is kind of early 2012, when statistics were out in the media that there was 1 million 18 to 24-year-olds unemployed, not in training, not in education. And we were looking to create solutions online to solve that problem. And at that event we were kind of encouraged by a mutual mentor to chat and have conversation. Obviously I'm 9 years older than Beej, so I was thinking, why am I being told to speak to some kind of like teenager? And but BJ's the most mature guy I'd ever met, and it was like blown away by his kind of professionalism and how he's conducting himself. And kind of I'd known what he was doing, and I knew that he'd kind of been kind of informed and was across what I was doing at SBTV, and we just kind of struck up a friendship. And then over the next year or so we kind of stayed in touch. We were kind of in contact, and it got to a point where we started kind of like meeting more regularly and doing kind of a few kind of little projects together. And I guess kind of the conversation started coming round to what was BJ's first project was a social enterprise. Mine was kind of a youth media entertainment online platform. They're very different, but there was kind of some certain common denominators that were both of us felt gave us a purpose and a sort of self-worth with kind of the with enterprise. And so we were like, what are those factors? Kind of got that, and then we kind of tried to build an experience that kind of like adopted all of them.
Go on, BG, pick up.
that was it. We just got cracking. I think the biggest thing for us was I was coming from a place where by the time I was 18, I had worked with 5,000 young people and got them in school playgrounds, running shops and doing stuff. And Liam had great success online, like multi-million views across multiple videos with him and his other business partner. And I think for us, it's like, how do you bridge the two and kind of solve the greater problem? Because you can make money out here, but I think sometimes when you work with people and you see a smile on someone's face, it's powerful. So being here live in the venue and kind of working tirelessly hard for 12 months, we got an image from us like working in a boardroom to like where we are now. And the boardroom was quite old and rustic, but it was like, why can't you put 500 people in a room, get them packed up with products, get them working with brands, take over a massive warehouse, invite the whole community down, and the money that's made kind of gets split through the community. So for me and for Liam, I think for us was kind of like taking what we had done and taking it to another level, more on like an impact level as well.
I think it's that thing, isn't it, where, kind of for young people particularly now in the state of the kind of, the country and the prospects that they have and stuff, it's pretty bleak. So to have something like this, and also the people that you are giving them access to across the board, whether that be, in banking, in retail, in media and all that kind of thing, talking about the important things that will help them develop their ideas, their careers, that whole thing. Can anybody be a super partner?
If you're under 24, you can be a super partner, and over 18 for now. But I think for us, to kind of put it into context, it felt right to kind of pick a segment of people. 18 to 24 is a very big age where normally people kind of are making life decisions about what they want to do. People are unemployed, people are at university and coming out and there's no jobs to kind of apply for. People are getting into work and then after a year finding maybe it's the wrong career and having to go for sabbaticals quite early on in their careers where they travel around. So I think for us, if we were going to do any age group, this age group felt right, especially for the context of what's going on in society at the moment. But further afield, I think with Super Academy, this isn't just an event, this is a brand launch. So this is just the beginning of many things we want to do. And I think for us, whether you're 8 years old or you're 80 years old, you should have a kind of ignition inside you, that kind of light switch moment where you know what you want to do and you go for it. And it's not about being unrealistic and everyone being a pop star, everyone being a business person, but it's more about having a purpose behind what you do. Because that purpose is what's going to carry you through, whatever you want to do. I don't know if you want to add to it.
Well, listen, you guys are going to bookend the show for us because you're going to come back at the end of the show as well. But if you are watching and you kind of want to see what's going on as well, and you want to buy some of the stuff that some of these partners are out there selling and talking about, you can buy products from e-commerce online store, which is www.supermarket.super academy.com. Did I get that right? Yes.
It's a mouthful, right?
It is a mouthful, but it's well worth it. And you've also got an auction today with the proceeds that are going to go to charities. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on when you guys rejoin me at the end of the show. Thank you so much for that, guys. There is so much coming up over the next sort of hour and a half across the board in terms of things that you definitely want to hear about if you are thinking about setting up your own business or what you can do for yourself for the future. It's not just me who's going to be here chatting to people. I am ably assisted by a very lovely lady who's out on the shop floor as we speak, and we're going to check in with her now. Hi, Ria, how are you doing?
Hi, Edith. I'm good, thank you. As you can see, I'm here in the hub of the supermarket, and I've got to tell you, the atmosphere is absolutely amazing. Lady Leisha's just performed. She was absolutely incredible. Now, if you have a look around, we've got so many different stalls and products here. It really is so varied, from makeup sessions to fashion and all sorts. But one person I would like to have a quick chat with is this lady over here. Hello, lovely. How are you?
Hi, I'm Suwaina. My name's Suwaina. I'm from ORS. I'm basically here for Afro Hair Care UK and US.
Oh, fabulous. Something right up my street then. Okay, and how did you hear about the Super Academy?
And basically, management was told about the event, and then we were told to come down and do some brand awareness and help some of the super partners learn how to do some brand awareness and promotion.
Amazing. And how has the weekend gone so far?
So far, it's been really good. I feel like we've achieved quite a bit of brand awareness, and also showed some of the super partners how to do what we do, basically, the promotional events, and teach people what to do with their hair, their natural curls.
Amazing. And how does your product differ from the mainstream stuff?
Well, we have a lot more natural-based products. So I've got a sulfate-free shampoo that is from the Curls Unleashed range, and that has rosemary and coconut in it.
Nice.
That's the base of the shampoo. And obviously, without the sulfates, you're not having such an abrasive action on your natural hair, which needs to remain moisturized, and not so dry.
Oh, we like that. Okay, well, thank you so much. Back to you, Edith.
What brilliant advice, and we have plenty more of that coming up. I'm now joined by Baz Sadia, who's an investor in today's event, and you're the MD of TrueStar. So I guess, first of all, how did you find out about Supa Academy, and what made you want to get involved?
I met the Likely lads a little while ago. They were introduced to us from Downing Street. The two bundles of energy came into the office.
Yeah.
Gave us a pitch around trying to get some access to the retailers that we invest in. And what we did was actually offered them a space within our innovation hub, and then spent the last probably 9 months or so coaching them.
Yeah. I mean, it's Liam and BG, who you refer to as the Likely lads. There's something infectious about their energy, and about how much commitment they have to this event, and to, BG saying there, this is not a one-off, this is the launch of something that we want to be ongoing. How important is something like this, do you think?
I think there's a lot of, we work with startups all the time, and lots of people have a very singular view. What these guys have done and actually taken a much more holistic view of the retail space, and what doesn't exist in this country or anywhere I've seen in Europe is something that focuses on retailers and growing young kids and getting them to be retailers of the future. So for us, it's actually quite an important step of finding the future talent in this country.
So what has your involvement been? You know, you're an investor. Has it just been a case of, you know, handing over some money for them to get it off the ground, or have you been more involved?
Nothing that easy. What we
It
did,
never is those two.
I think, what we did, we gave them the space first, and we gave a number of opportunities. So made introductions to other investors, made introductions to the partners such as River Island and Accenture that have come on board in EE.
Yeah.
And then just coach the guys. I think, for one, just be there for them. So constantly bouncing ideas. Two is be there for the bad times as well as the good. And then three, actually help them process the thinking around the business side of what they're doing. So longer term, where do they want to be?
Yeah. And coming down here, what was your first impression of coming down here and seeing what was going on? That amazing room out there with this eclectic mix of young entrepreneurs with fantastic creative ideas and drive.
Yeah. One, the space is huge. So what they've done is absolutely packed it. There's a whole range of people from the guys that are running the actual shops through to the different investors I've spotted walking around and the sponsors. They've got a real broad range of people. I think the products they're selling is really broad as well, and the musicians have been pretty good as well.
It's like a little kind of almost a little festival in a way, isn't
exactly.
it? It's a great atmosphere. And thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the experience because it's absolutely wonderful. Now, yesterday, all the Supa partners were lucky enough to spend the day being mentored by some of the most successful business brains in the UK. The first masterclass was on retail and the importance of your e-commerce site. Here's Julia Hardy chairing our retail panel, which included young entrepreneur Fraser Doherty, founder of Supa Jam, Mark Alera, Chief Commerce Officer at EE, and Kate Barron from Frame Consulting. Let's take a look.
We'd like to welcome to the stage for our first panel, which is the changing face of retail, three very special guests. First of all, Mark Alera, who's the Chief Commercial Officer for EE. We've got Kate Barrow, who's the founder of Frame Consulting, and Fraser Doherty, who's the founder of Supa Jam. So if you guys would like to come up to the stage, please. Thank you. Welcome to all you guys. Obviously, the landscape of retail has changed dramatically. What we're going to be talking about on this panel is kind of how you can kind of exploit some of these new strategies, this new technology to really maximise your sales. Maybe we should just start off with a little bit about you guys, if you'd like to just sort of tell us a little bit about what it is you currently do.
So I run the commercial operation for EE, UK's largest mobile network. We've got around 30 million customers, and my job really is getting 7,500 people in my team delivering a consistent experience every day.
Morning everyone, my name is Fraser Doherty and I'm the founder of a jam company called Supa Jam. After that, a friend and I started a business selling craft beer on the internet. So I've had some experience of selling stuff to supermarkets, like physical stores, and more recently on the internet.
My name's Kate Barron. I run a consultancy called Frame. I try to help retail brands match their people strategy to what they're trying to do for their consumers.
Obviously, the kind of key thing behind this panel is about the kind of changing shape of retail. What have been some of the biggest changes, like the biggest game changers in terms of retail that you've seen?
The most obvious one is almost every single customer is going to a mobile device to seek out that store and find out more about your proposition than ever before. So retailers, more and more, however large or small, have to start thinking about this device as your first front door.
Just to start a business and test your idea out, maybe 5-10 years ago, was a big challenge. It'd be really hard to start a business, but now it's incredibly easy. If you want to set up a website or just make a few of your products and try them out, then you can do that on a really small scale really easily. And if you are trying to start a business, I would say, don't be afraid of just testing it out on a small scale.
Did you find that people were quite helpful?
I've been amazed by how happy and how willing other people have been to kind of share what they've learned and give me advice. And, if there's somebody that you think can help you, just, don't be afraid of asking for help.
Absolutely mirror what everyone is saying. You will be humbled by how helpful people are when you ask for help. As soon as someone sees how passionate you are about what you believe in, like Fraser in Waitrose, You will be surprised how much people help you. And if they're not like that, then you don't want to work with them. So ignore them.
I get asked a lot, what's good advice for people trying to sell to large businesses? Get a network of people around you who've dealt with large businesses before, because if you haven't navigated those corridors, it's a very complex thing to do, and you need people who've done it before, made the mistakes, got the contacts and the connections to help you.
Yeah, I guess coming on to that would be whoever you're trying to sell to, even if it's a huge company like Tesco of 500,000 people, there's just one person in there that you have to find, and you can probably look them up on LinkedIn and hopefully get in touch with them and maybe get a meeting with them. And if you're just meeting with one person, you've just got to convince that one person. So it's not as scary when you think about it like that.
Brilliant advice, absolutely brilliant advice, and there is lots more of that to come from. Now, one of the UK's biggest high street chains is River Island, and they are a major supporter of Supa Academy. And here to tell us more is Helen Colclough, Head of E-Commerce at River Island, and Doug Gardner. Good afternoon, how are you?
Yeah, very good.
Doug, what's your official role at River Island?
CIO, so I'm in charge of all the tech and all the IT for the company.
Well, I guess start off by asking you what your impressions are of the event so far.
Absolutely fantastic. I said we've been involved from a very early stage, so seeing how this has all come together today, with all that these guys have put into it, to see them filling such an incredible space it's overwhelming. It's a fantastic job that they've done.
And Helen, why was this something that was important, or River Island wanted to be part of?
I think, like everybody, we were overwhelmed by the energy of BJ and Liam themselves, and had such a passion for getting young people into retail. We've got such fantastic opportunities at River Island. We've got great job roles. We're doing great things in digital. Giving people that opportunity to get an inside track on that, we're totally passionate about. We think it's brilliant.
And kind of being on the shop floor, so to speak, what's your impressions been of some of the partners and their stalls and things that have been going on?
Do you know what? They're absolutely phenomenal. We've had a workshop this week over at Chelsea House, our head office. Every partner that I've met is so ambitious, so energetic, so keen and engaging. They're asking questions. Some of them this morning maybe weren't that confident in talking to customers, and right now they're out there, driving sales. Like, it's crazy. They really have grown in confidence in the day, and I've been impressed with every single one that I've met.
Doug, what would you say is the thing that they should take away from this, or try and take away from this experience?
Well, just learn about the entire retail experience. I think this has been fantastic for everybody to get such inside information on how a retail business works. Everything from visual merchandising to how e-commerce sites are set up, how to do graphics, how to do setups and breakdowns, how to price things. So they've had a real great insight. So just absorb all of this so they understand business more, and they can take away some inspiration from this, and then understand really how an entrepreneur works.
Because having that opportunity to have all these different, kind of areas of business available is a one-off, really, isn't? That's not something that the young people who are maybe starting a business get the chance to have access to that often.
Yeah, I think that's the most incredible thing, and we've fully embraced it. So we've given them access to all areas. Helen's team has really showed them how e-commerce works. Our retail team have been fantastic. We've taken them into store. We did a mini pop-up with them in Shoreditch at the Box Park so they could see how it all works. So they've had incredibly valuable access to everybody, but it's something we really want to do. We really like to inspire kids, and I think this is a fantastic opportunity from both sides.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you guys so much for coming and chatting. Thanks for my culotte outfit as well. I absolutely love it. Right, next up, the lovely Georgia Ellie chatted to Frank Meehan, co-founder of Spark Labs, who explained his role in helping companies expand.
So here I am with Frank Meehan. I feel like you're kind of a guy that gets behind good ideas, makes stuff happen. Like, how would you explain it?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I do. And from I've invested in a lot of, I like to invest in quite young talent that is going to do. So I was on the board of Sunly as well, which was a company started by a 15-year-old here who ended up selling his app for 30 million to Yahoo.
Whoa.
Also part of Spark Labs, which is the biggest accelerator in Asia, which is in Korea. And then have a great new app which is designed to help early stage founders and just people who are just trying to start a business and to figure it out.
So if you want to start a business, you're kind of the guy that you want to meet.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That was exactly it. So that's why I started SmartUp, which I did with Brent Hoberman, who's the founder of lastminute.com, and a whole bunch of others, which is because it's extremely difficult to get to me, and I would love to talk and meet to everyone. But even if I did that all day, I'm only going to get to a fraction of the people around the world. How do we get to the smart kids in Shanghai? How do we get to the smart kids in London or in Newcastle or wherever? And so that's why we've done this app to sort of figure. It's a virtual mentor.
You've obviously made a lot of the right decisions to get to this place. What is kind of like a green light, what's a red light?
So green light's going to be for me that there's two of you initially, right?
Really?
Yeah. I really don't like to invest in sole founders. I'm very much keen to have co-founders. And then number two, I want to see that it's extremely easy for you to explain it. So what I do is I usually ask people to say, can you just put your stuff on a billboard? Can you put it up there? And very easily, people can just see what it is. Your messaging's got to be really simple. And if those are the two key things I want to see.
What are the most common mistakes that you encounter then?
So I'd say the most common ones will be, the one thing is very common is that people think that they shouldn't tell you their idea because they think it's really super secret and they want to get you to sign an NDA or something like that. No good investor is going to sign an NDA. And the other one is where people test their product or their idea with their friends and their family. Don't do that because they'll tell you something different because you have a relationship. You've got to test it with the people you don't know.
So there's 500 young people trading here today. Have you got any advice?
Yeah, get a crowd in front of what you're going to do. Find a way of getting 20 or 30 people in front of your stand who look like they're incredibly engaged. Because when I walk in and I see 20 people standing in front of something, I'm going to go and take a look at that. That's number one. And number two, just find a cool way to just grab people. You've got to get them inside it. It's like you can't just stand there. You've got to have some sort of demo, some sort of idea, some sort of thing that's going to get the buzz and people talking about it. Hey, go check out the stand.
Wow. I mean, some really important stuff that he's talking about there. Now, another important area in retail is marketing. And some of the best specialists in that field were here to share their knowledge yesterday with Julia Hardy and the Supa partners. This panel included David Hathramani, CEO of online clothing retailer A Suit That Fits, Frank Meehan, who you just heard of right there, co-founder of Spark Labs, Helen Smith from Facebook, and Emily Brooke, CEO of Blaze. Let's find out what happened.
We're going to kick off our second panel of the day, which is how can marketers push their narrative seamlessly online and offline. So we've got a really, really great panel of people who you can pick their brains of.
Hi, well, I'm David. I'm a founder of A Suit That Fits, which was the world's first online tailoring platform.
My name is Helen Smith. I work in Facebook. I work with small and medium businesses across Europe, Middle East, Africa.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm the founder and CEO of Blaze, and we make products for urban cyclists.
I'm Frank Meehan. I have an app called Smart Up, which is a free virtual mentor.
So, of course, Emily, you obviously, you crowdfunded. How do you inspire someone to give you cash when you don't have a product? How do you do it?
So for me, Kickstarter was getting a prototype up there, and it's the feedback, so what you touched on. Feedback is the most important thing. You're building a product for a market, and you want to know what the market think about it.
Once you have a customer base, the whole thing is a lot easier as well. So if you've already got a product that customers love, then you might even find that when you do start crowdfunding, people want to invest in it.
Online, the ability and the growth of online basically made my company possible. My product is so innovative, we're making so few of them, we have to sell direct to our customers. And the only way we can do that is by doing it online.
Obviously, this all kind of links back to your brand and the narrative. Facebook is, it's a huge reach. You must encounter so many people. What kind of advice do you give to people?
What I tell people is actually just tell your story. People are really passionate. If somebody starts a business, blood, sweat, and tears, right? They are hugely passionate about their business. So tell the story and open up the kind of the background. That's building trust, and that is so powerful you wouldn't believe.
You have to get out there and sell yourself and put yourself out there. It's so important. I cannot emphasize that so much these days, far more than it used to be.
You're competing with so much other content, so it needs to be content that's rich and engaging.
Is there a strategy, would you say, that Twitter should always either be for something that's funny and news, and Instagram should always be inspirational or beautiful? Does it follow that formula, do you think?
I think of it as Twitter's for customer engagement, so customers, it's quite a good incoming for our customers and people who are looking at the brand. And then Instagram, I think, should be more of a visually impactful, curated, thoughtful, this is what we want to put out as a brand and this is what we want to look like.
How are these guys going to maximise the amount of people who are going to be buying stuff or getting people through the door?
I don't know if I should say this because everyone's going to go do it. But the best thing when you've got something like this is you need to have a crowd. Seriously, if I walk into this room tomorrow and I see a stand over there and there's 20 people all crowded over looking at something, that's the one I'm going to go look at, right? So you've got to create buzz, and you've got to think of something that you're going to demo, right? So your demo has to be interesting. It can't just be like, here's the product. Think of something that is going to get people over there. It's a competition out there, and you've got to get them in front of you.
I totally agree with Frank. If you're interacting with somebody and you're looking and you're making eye contact, that's interesting for people. It's not scary. It's interesting. It's like you have something to say to them. Ask them a question. Reach out. Don't annoy them. But, use your facial expression and your body language to kind of draw people in.
You're looking for the one or two within the 30 or 40 that walk past that are interested in it and are going to buy. But you have to make sure that you stay positive, that you keep talking to them, because talking to people creates opportunities.
Simple things like facial expressions and body language. Who'd have thought it? There's more great stuff like that still to come. Now, Barclays is an official partner of Supa Academy, and they have a very special interest in young people. And to tell us more is Kirsty Markey, the Director of Life Skills and Consumer Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us. I guess, first of all, explain to us what the Life Skills project is within Barclays.
Sure. Well, we're trying to help young people get ready for the world of work. So we're trying to help young people, give them those key skills and experience they need to get them ready so when they enter the workforce. So things like communication skills, like body language we just heard about, also things like preparing for an interview, things that are really hard for young people to get in the school environment. So that's the whole programme. And so far we've helped 1.3 million young people get ready for the world of work, which we're really proud of at Barclays.
And is this something you were involved in setting up?
Yeah, so I set this up 2 years ago, so we've been running a programme for 2 years, and because there was 750,000 young people unemployed, and young people aren't getting that skills and experience they need in the school environment, and also nowadays there's very little part-time jobs, so I got lots of experience when I was a Saturday girl, but young people aren't getting that hands-on experience, so we're really trying to inspire young people.
And the world's a daunting place, anyway, sort of thing. But for a young person who's about to enter that world, leaving school, thinking about what that next step is, sort of thing, what is your advice, and what advice do you give them?
So the biggest piece of advice I'd give to young people is to really be confident. So think about what you really want to do, be ambitious, but also try and get as much practical help and experience as possible. So events like Supa Academy are fantastic because young people will get that practical hands-on experience, and they'll have a lot to talk about when they go for a job interview.
And what, for you, is important for Barclays to invest in young people and their ideas?
Well, for us, young people are our future workforce, so we want to make sure we've got young people, they're our future economy as well. So it's really important that young people feel inspired and are entering into the working world ready to do a great job.
Talking about being inspired, you were talking just before we came on air about BJ and Liam coming in to see you a while ago to talk about, what was that experience like, that first meeting?
So they came in December to see us, and those two are a ball of energy. So they came in to see us. It's a very different concept for Barclays to get involved with, but actually what I really liked is they were so different, and this has never been done before, and they were so ambitious with their thinking. So we really wanted to give those two a chance and to see if they could do it, and they pulled off an amazing event. So I'm really pleased.
What's your impression of the event so far?
It's so well run, so it's been really well organised out there. It's got a real buzz. The young people have learnt so much from the last couple of days already, and there's still over a day to go, so it's fantastic.
And for young people who are watching right now, how can they get involved in Life Skills? Is it open to everyone?
Sure, so young people can get involved through their schools or college or youth club, or they can sign up themselves at our website, which is www.barclayslifeskills.com.
And what about terms of future plans as well? We kind of know, Liam and BJ talked about this just being the first of hopefully, something that's ongoing for them in terms of Supa Academy. But what does Life Skills hope to achieve over the next, few years?
So the next few years for us, it's really trying to reach to even more young people. So we're looking at how can we help university students as well with the programme. So how can we give more support to parents who want to guide young people through different career options as well. And also looking at those different future skills that young people need when the workplace will change a lot in 7 years' time when those 11-year-olds leave school.
Yeah. Brilliant. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being part of this as well. Thanks, Kirsty. Right now we're going to go and check back out on the shop floor and see what Ria's up to.
Thanks, Edith. So if you've just tuned in, remember you can get involved on social media by liking our Facebook page and following us on Twitter at Supa Academy. Now, hang on a minute. What is going on here? Hello, who are you and what are you doing?
Hey, my name's Valerie and I'm a freelance dance artist and a yoga teacher.
Oh, I love a bit of yoga. What kind of yoga do you teach, Valerie?
Just vinyasa flow.
Oh, my favourite. And what else do you do?
So we do yoga classes, dance classes and a cocoa yoga workshop.
That sounds really bizarre. What's that about?
So it's a yoga class followed by a chocolate educational class where we tell you where the chocolate comes from, how it's made, and then we make little chocolate treats at the end.
That's amazing. It sounds so unique. How did you find out about Supa Academy?
So I was just looking on the metro one day and thought, why not? Why not sign up to something so amazing, you know?
Have you had a good weekend so far?
Wicked. It's been really, really awesome. So inspirational and so lovely to meet everyone. So yeah.
So it wouldn't be right without a little demonstration. Do you want to show me what you do? Maybe I can have a go. Downward dog, right. Oh, I don't know about that, hun. I mean, first of all, I've got a skirt on. And to be honest with you, watching you just made me a little peckish myself. How about we eat some of those lovely chocolates, eh?
As well. Yeah, for sure. So it's just kind of like a Snickers bar, a little base, and yeah, just some stuff on top.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good indeed. And how long do they take to make?
Couple of hours, not too long. Not too long, it's okay.
The whole idea is that you practice the yoga and then afterwards, as a little treat, we have this chocolate that's good.
Sugar-free and healthy, so it's to do with a holistic, healthy lifestyle. So yes, indeed.
And how has the Academy helped you as someone that runs a small business?
Just lots of advice about, equity and loans and how to run your business, etc. It's great. It's really, really good.
Well, let's stop chatting. Eat this goodness. Back to you, Edith.
Please bring some back for me. I'll promise I'll do a couple of yoga poses in the meantime. Now, possibly the most important factor in creating a new business is, unfortunately, hard cash. Without it, how far can you really go? Two experts in the field gave our Supa partners some top tips in the world of finance, and here's Julia getting the lowdown from them. Peter Essen, Chief Finance Officer at Barclays, and Paul Cocker, Founding Manager of True Capital.
Money's, I think, one of the scariest things because you can have like a bunch of ideas and you can be like, well, I can make like an Etsy account and sell some stuff online and it all seems not too scary. But it comes to that point where your business gets to a certain size where you're going to have a conversation with someone. What kind of advice could you give to people when they come to you initially? What's the best top tips?
It's as much about conviction. You've got to understand, okay, well, how much are you going to want to borrow, or are you going to be looking for equity? Start small, pilot it, and if you get some successes, then you've got more evidence to go back and get more money, and that could then be in the form of equity.
I think the most important thing we look for when we look at an investment opportunity or a team initially is actually the person. We need to know that you understand the finances, but most importantly, it's an idea and a person and a team that can inspire.
You've all got cash in your pocket, or you've got a bank account or whatever. I mean, if you know what's in it and what's going in and what's going out, that's a great start. And it sounds obvious. But as you get bigger, you are going to want to have those skills around you. A number of businesses do go out of business because they run out of cash. So you've got to have a mind to the future. You can't just sort of be going in. You've got to think, where's it going to go? This whole concept of cash flow management, it sounds complicated, but it's probably what a lot of you do on a day-to-day. We all do it on a day-to-day. It's a bit of budgeting. It's a bit of actually working that through.
Is there almost like a template for different types of business, or is it just completely unique to each one?
Across a different spectrum of businesses, then it will be very different. And I think, as I said before, the thing that we're looking for is for the founder or the founding team to understand what those drivers are. So if they can't explain to us kind of how a business goes from where it is today to where it's going to be in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, we don't necessarily expect the numbers to be right, but we expect them to understand how it's going to scale. What you can demonstrate is an understanding of your customer if you're in retail. It's basically about how much it costs you to acquire a customer, whether you're a business that's on the high street and you need to rent a shop, fit it out, put the stock in there. That's got a cost to it. And if you can demonstrate that you've done that profitably in one location, then it's not that difficult for me to draw the conclusion that you can do that in a different location.
How do you get finance from you guys? What is the application process? I guess it's more for Paul from True Capital.
Yeah, the way that we structure that is twice a year. We'll have an application deadline. where we typically get hundreds of applications. And then we whittle that down to, I think, about 20 we did last time, and we get them to come in and pitch to ourselves. And then if you're successful, invest 20 or 50 grand in the business, depending on a discussion between the two parties. And then we have a 6-month program. The businesses that we invested in last time, we've got a real high-quality talent in our building, and a lot of what Matt and I have tried to do with True Capital and True Start is surround ourselves in our business with inspirational people, because the impact that will have on our culture and our ability to grow our own business as well.
London's actually a great place. I mean, there's a huge number of startups occurring. I mean, at any point in time, we've probably got 1 million startups across London. There's a lot of angel investors, and I think it's a question of actually where are you pitching? What are you pitching for?
There is a real ecosystem, not just of capital actually, but also of support, of expertise, of people that are specialists in what they do. And so this is a really good time to be thinking about starting a business in London.
You mentioned the 6-month programme earlier, Paul. What sort of support do you offer on that?
The most important thing that we would always say we deliver is access to a network that's been built up over 15 years of myself and Matt and the wider team now as well. We teach some of the basics of business, so there'll be advice that we give around cash flows that we'll get involved in helping you with over the 6-month period. You also get to be in our building for 6 months and so on. So it's kind of... It's not an MBA program, it's not a business education, but there's bits of that. But most importantly, it's about the commercial acceleration. We're very focused on actually helping our investee companies generate extra revenue so they can be in a different position when they leave us to when they joined us at a very early stage for them as a business.
More great advice, but also some great questions coming from our audience there at another panel. We've got loads more to come over the next hour. Now, next up, we've got a very inspiring young man who is so modest, well, that he even was very reluctant to tell us that at 26 years old, he's one of the country's youngest ever MBEs. Fraser Doherty knows a lot about jam. In fact, he's rather super at it.
The idea for Super Jam came from an afternoon I spent making jam with my grandmother when I was a little boy of 14 up in Scotland. And I started making jam, selling it to the neighbours and at farmers markets and to little shops, and then it sort of grew and grew from there. I had no idea that an afternoon spent making jam with my grandmother would go on to become my career. I just thought it would be something fun to do and maybe I'd make a little bit of pocket money from it, but step by step it sort of took over my life. When I was 16, it became my dream to try and get my Super Jam into Waitrose, and I convinced my dad to drive me to their office, and he waited in the car outside, and I borrowed my dad's suit, and it was probably 2 sizes too big for me, and pitched my idea to the senior jam buyer, and he said it was a great idea, but he explained I'd have to set up production and get packaging designed, but that if I could do all of that, then maybe they'd give my idea a shot. The hardest point of my whole journey was the moment where the supermarket said no. You know, I'd spent a lot of time working on my idea and it was all wrong, and I had to start again. And that was a point where, you know, I thought about giving up. Family and friends asked maybe whether I should give up, but thankfully, you know, I gave my idea another shot and eventually it worked. The supermarket explained that packaging should communicate why someone should buy your product, and so I then had to redesign the packaging and create new flavours and eventually kind of get the right price. But once I was able to do all of that, you know, eventually it worked. Something I've been amazed by is how happy and willing other people are to help you with your idea. And if you've got an idea, I'd say, you know, don't be afraid of asking for help. You know, try and find a mentor, maybe someone who's been there, done it before, who can give you some advice. And I think that's, you know, the best way to figure out how to get your idea off the ground. We've sold, you know, millions of jars for about 2,000 stores around the world. Super Jam's been very popular in this country, but also in South Korea, and we've just recently launched in Japan, which I'm very excited about. When my gran originally made jam, she'd make jam and scones and visit all the elderly people in her area. So I guess kind of inspired by that, a couple of years ago we set up a charity which runs parties for elderly people who maybe live on their own or in care homes, and we have about 100 events every year. They're completely free, and it's just kind of a nice way of like giving something back. Once you've got one idea off the ground and learn how to do that, you know, it becomes easier and easier to do the second idea and the third idea. And that's the thing that's really exciting about being an entrepreneur, is like always coming up with ideas and, you know, making things into reality. My life story was made into a dramatized TV reenactment, which was kind of like an hour-long show. You can see it on YouTube, and it was a lot of fun for my gran and I. for me, the whole thing has been, an amazing adventure, and I had no idea that something that could start as a tiny idea would go on to change my life, and would end up becoming a story that other people would hear at the other side of the world. I had no idea that would happen. And for me, the reason I started a business was that I love making things and creating things, and I just love the feeling of somebody telling that you've had a good idea and buying your product. I just find that very exciting. But it is also nice to win awards or be recognised along the way. And I've never sort of applied for those things, but certainly for my grandmother, it's been a lot of fun. And a couple of months ago, I was able to take her to Buckingham Palace to meet Prince Charles, which I think for her was a major highlight of the whole adventure. The lesson is that your idea is never going to be perfect first time around, and you should always expect that you're going to get a few no's before eventually you get a yes. You just have to find that one person who's, in my case, in charge of jam. And at first they said no, but explained what I would have to do to make it work. And when I did that, eventually it sort of took off.
Brilliant. What a fascinating chat. Also that whole notion of, being told no, but it not putting you off and it not setting you back, and it almost being that thing that drives you on to keep going. Now, the Supa partners and the public have also had the additional treat of listening to some fantastic music here at the Truman Brewery. And speaking of which, I'm joined now by our headliner of today's show, Lady Lashur. How are you?
I'm fine.
It's great to have you here. How was your experience out there?
It was really good. The crowd was very receptive, and I just had a really good time.
How did you get involved in Supa Academy?
It was Liam, actually. He contacted my agent, and I was like, yep, why not? We go way back, so I know him as a really good person. He's so funny as well. So, yeah.
But you fit into this whole kind of dynamic of the notion of, entrepreneurial as well, because, as well as the music side of things that you do, I think very early on you appreciated that you need more than that. You need to kind of market yourself, and you need to have other things. What was the thing, or when did you realise that, and what other things have you brought on board?
Well, since I've been young, I've been doing producing, singing, rapping and dancing, but I knew I had to just maintain one thing at a time. And I do acting as well, so I try to do so much stuff. And I've always been told when I was younger, trying to do music, that I'm not going to make it. Just doors just closing on me, but I believed in myself, and that's the main thing. When you can believe in yourself, anything can happen, anything's possible.
What would your advice be to people watching who are maybe, who may well have just been recently kind of told no about something, whether it be their idea or whatever and stuff? How do you overcome that? How do you kind of move forward?
You just have to, I feel personally, you just have to go with your heart. I think the way you feel inside is the best feeling. If you get a gut instinct that something's wrong, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be wrong. So you just have to follow your heart, follow the path, and just keep pushing.
How do you think events like this, Supa Academy, is important for young people and their ideas being heard and being seen?
I think it's really good because it gives the young kids an opportunity and a platform to try and start their own businesses and be entrepreneurs themselves. I think when you start young and you know what you're doing from young, you're going to be very successful. Because when I was growing up, there was only MySpace and stuff to get my music out. Now there's Snapchat, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's so many things to get yourself out there.
Yeah.
So it's really good. It's a really good platform.
So the music, we got the clothes line as well, and we're looking lovely. And then we got film coming out, a new film coming out in September. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's called Laps of Honour. I'm playing the lead role in it, so I'm really excited. And it's basically about my life, about a female growing up trying to do music and people saying no, she's not good enough. And eventually she becomes very successful. So I'm really excited for that to show.
And how can people find out where they can see it and things like that?
It is actually out on the 18th of September. It's screening at Genesis Cinemas in Mile End. And it's also going to be in Birmingham as well, which is my hometown.
Amazing. Listen, thank you so much for coming in to see us. And great for you to be part of this as well. And good luck with the film. I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much. Now, earlier today, Julia Hardy sat down in this very room, in fact, with some of the head honchos from Psycho Music. You might know them better as Simon Cowell's company. And as we're all interested in music, let's hear what she found out about working behind the scenes and making a career in the music business through Psycho.
So, welcome to another one of our Supa Academy panels. Now, the guys sitting in front of me have the information about an industry I think we're all utterly fascinated with, which is the music business, all its glamour, its glory, its fame. First of all, I think it'd probably be quite wise to maybe just talk a little bit about what exactly your job is. Like, what are each of these different roles? So, Alice, if you'd like to start off.
So A&R stands for Artist and Repertoire, and that's basically all to do with the music side of it. I know it's kind of like, well, it is the music industry, but there are kind of lots of different areas. So it's basically completely to do with the music, and you work with the artist to determine what their sound is going to be like, what their album's going to sound like, who they want to work with, who they want to write with, who they want to produce with, and it's all about kind of really working with the artist and making sure they're making an album that they want to make.
Hi. So planning is a fairly new title and discipline within the music industry. So my job is to work with all the different teams within the label at the beginning of a campaign to work out what the artist is going to do long term.
Cool. I'm Sam, so I work in the digital team, and I'm basically in charge of kind of overseeing the artist's social media and making sure that all the messaging that we put out on a day-to-day basis gets out.
What was your kind of journey to get to work for one of the, this big company? How did you start out, Alice?
So I started out actually as an intern about a year and a half ago. I actually started out in marketing, and I did that for about 6 months. It's all about filling gaps and making yourself useful and doing things that other people aren't doing.
I did my degree in fine art at Goldsmiths, and I think in about week 4 of starting my degree I realised I didn't want to be an artist. I decided that actually music had always been something alongside art that I was really, really into and really, really passionate about. I managed to get in touch with somebody at Sony Music and went in and met them, told them a bit about my experience. They either thought that I perhaps was somebody they'd never want to see again or somebody worth taking a chance on, and they did take a chance on me.
My story kind of started out when I didn't quite get the A-level results that I wanted, and I ended up going to a festival and deciding that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I love music, I'm going to go and work in music. So I kind of tailored the whole of my higher education towards it as well. I went for a couple of other things and didn't get them first time, and then finally something came up in Psycho, and it was actually a bit higher than probably what I should be going for. But I basically went in there and I connected really well with my then boss, and basically just showed her that I had the aptitude to learn, and I was young and I was just willing. I basically made myself indispensable to the team.
A lot of the time it's about contacts, right? So you kind of, these people that you meet, you might not get a job at the end of it, but if you kind of, you go out for a drink with them once in a while, you kind of have a chat with them, they'll kind of let you know about future stuff coming. So it's almost about filling your address book as well as kind of learning on the job too, right?
Totally, yeah. I made sure that I wrote down every single person's email and every single person's address and every single telephone number that I could possibly ever call back upon. Certainly within music, it is about kind of connecting on a personal level as well, much more than other industries.
How important is it just to kind of have that, I don't know, like a certain amount of confidence in yourself? Is it a balance?
Yeah, I think it definitely is a balance. I think confidence is showing that you really care about this. It's having a confidence in understanding why you want to be doing what you're doing and showing that you have a genuine and real passion for something.
What are some of the kind of common sort of misconceptions do you think it is about what you guys do in music?
I think there's a massive misconception about the industry now compared to the industry in 1987.
Yeah, I think I just agree with Holly in terms of it's not going to be rock and roll the whole time. There are going to be times where you're working into the early hours of the morning.
When I first started, it kind of shocked me how small it was. You think that there's going to be hundreds of people running around making everything happen, and when it comes down to it, it's literally 20 people that make it happen.
What do you think are some of the really key skills you think you need to have in your position to do what you do?
I think for my job, there needs to be a genuine desire and belief in collaboration.
I always think if you think you're right in something, you should kind of put that across as much as you can.
You have to be able to listen to different parts of information, different opinions, and actually work out how you get this across in the most effective way.
Thanks to Julia and the Psycho panel there. We'll have part 2 of that panel coming up in just a short while. Fascinating and insightful stuff there. Now, if you're looking for investment in your startup, here's some clear advice on how to get your hands on some hard-earned cash.
Here I am with Paul Corker. He's an investor, so you basically just find businesses and give them some money?
We invest at 2 different stages. True Capital is my larger business where we invest in established retail businesses, and True Start, where we look for genuine startups, which might not be much more than a product or an idea.
Okay.
And a very inspirational person is kind of what we're looking for.
And like, what made you kind of like go down that path?
My background, I was an accountant originally, and then I became an investment banker, and then invested a bit of my own cash and that of my business partner's cash in a startup. And we set up our own business to invest other people's money in startup businesses.
And what do you look for in these businesses?
When we look for early stage businesses, it's mostly actually about the person or the team, and whether they can be inspirational, and whether we think they've got the capability to build a huge business. And then of course that's laid with the product or the service and a financial understanding as well.
Have you ever made any big mistakes when it comes to investing in the wrong person?
When you invest in early stage businesses, you accept that there will be a failure rate, because not every wonderful idea will turn into a wonderful business. It's disappointing mostly when you find that you've invested in the wrong person. So if a person turns out to not be as dedicated or as committed to it as you thought they were when you initially invested, that's, I guess, probably my biggest disappointment.
That's kind of interesting for people to hear who are starting a business, that if it doesn't work, that's quite normal.
Of course, that's absolutely normal, and I think the type of person that is an entrepreneur are willing to fail and willing to give it a go and willing to get back up again. And actually, a lot of what we do is look for those type of people, and we accept that they're not necessarily going to be successful the first time round, but we have them in our network, and we'll get the opportunity to invest in the next great idea, and hopefully eventually they'll come up with something that wins.
What have you found is the usual downfall of the businesses that don't work then? Like, what's the most common mistakes?
It's difficult to say that there's a common mistake. Sometimes if the founder's not as dedicated to it, that's a real disappointment, as I said before. The second thing is normally just they don't get the traction with the consumer. As I say, we invest in retail and consumer businesses, so ultimately the consumer will decide the success of those businesses. Something that we might think is a wonderful idea or a wonderful product, consumer, the wider world might not necessarily agree, and that ultimately means that the business doesn't succeed.
So if you're going to start a business today, what 3 things you wish you'd known before?
Most important, I want to be clear about what my idea was and have the confidence that I could execute on it. The second thing I would say is actually we look for businesses probably where there's more than one founder. I think it helps if you can share the load, and if there's there's 2 people in the business, that's usually more interesting to us. And the third thing, I'm probably biased as an investor, but I'd say make sure you know your numbers.
That one at the end is particularly difficult.
It is indeed.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Invaluable insight there on getting financed by startup investor Paul Cocker. Now, it would be impossible over this short show to kind of cover everything that's been going on here as part of Supa Academy. So we thought we'd kind of edit together a nice short piece of film to give you an idea of just the diversity of things that have been happening over the last couple of days.
Hi, I'm Dominic and I'm a Supa partner. I'm here to learn about retail. Why it's good for young people to be here is because these events help them in their life. It helps them with their skills, so it's better for them to find jobs and better for them to learn about business industries and retail in itself.
I'm Mehdi, I'm the founder of Sibri. So we're here today at Supa Academy. What we're doing is we're working with the participants who are young people between 18 and 25 who are trying to sell our product. I started this business never having done anything similar before, and it does come with a lot of challenges. There are a lot of very difficult things to do. A lot of things can go wrong, and so we're here to help people out and see how well they can do trying to sell a product, and also give them advices about business in general, creating a business, the motivation behind it, the rewards.
My name is Paula Tuho, and I'm here at Hop Salon to learn how businesses work. And I've learned how to interact with real customers, and I'm really enjoying myself.
Hello, my name is Bai. I'm with Waffles and Cream. I'm here at the Supa Academy, and it's a lively, wonderful day. I would recommend this to fellow entrepreneurs such as myself because it gives them a chance to put their brands out there and also be affiliated with bigger brands and gain more exposure for their brands.
Do I consider myself an aspiring entrepreneur? Yes, I do, because in the future, hopefully I'll own my own business, and the skills I've learned today, I'll be able to use and transfer them when I'm selling my products.
See, I told you there was lots going on, and the great thing is there's still a whole other day to go. So if you're close by and you're intrigued by what's going on, then we're open till 8:30 tonight, so you can always just head down right here to the Truman Brewery, and all day tomorrow as well. 11 o'clock it opens till 5 o'clock tomorrow night. So if it's something that interests you, you want more information about, then come on down. There's plenty for you to see and to get advice and to ask people and just get involved. So Truman Brewery in East London, head down before 8:30 tonight or between 11 and 5 tomorrow. Let's head back to the shop floor and find out what Ria's up to.
Thanks, Edith. Well, in addition to live yoga demonstrations, we've even got books here. I think that's your fabulous book there, Edith. And, what have we got round here? A inspiration board by one of our partners, River Island, where people have been encouraged throughout the day to write messages of inspiration to inspire young people. There's so much you can buy here. I mean, look at these cool mugs. They're so lovely. Curiosity, confidence, skills. See, all about inspiring young people. That's what we love. Now, remember, you can get involved on social media. These are all our Twitter handles here. You can join us on Facebook, Twitter and Snapchat at Supa Academy. And remember, you can also purchase any of the products that you've seen here today on the online website, which is supamarket.supa-academy.com. Now, one stall I want to talk you through is this one called Vividly. I love the story behind this one. It's got a really lovely message. And here's the lovely founder, Aaliyah. Hi, Aaliyah, darling. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Have you had a good day so far?
Amazing day.
Okay. Talk me through Vividly.
Okay, so Vividly Creative probably started about this year, really. And what we do is we run makeup classes and makeup tutorials for private and corporate clients. But the most important thing, the passion of why I'm actually doing it, is that 40% of the money that we get from the corporate and private clients actually go towards young people. So we help young people, including young mums. We've worked with Gingerbread, which is a UK young people, like young mums institution. We've worked with loads of different people that are into the youth industry. So we kind of give back to the community, and that's like one of the main things.
I love that. That is such a positive message, and I don't think there's anyone out there that does what you do. Talk me through your products and stuff. What goodness have we got here? Because I'm a girly girl and I love all this.
So we use loads of products. So at the moment, main products we use on like the face and stuff is MAC, because obviously MAC is such a renowned thing. Everybody knows it. Everybody wants to use it. So it's really, really good. We use things like Bobbi Brown, Blush Professional, Revolution, like affordable products, so then people don't get intimidated by big names and big brands, so then they feel like, oh, I can't afford it. So it's just trying to cater to people that don't have it as well.
And how does the Academy help you as a small business owner?
Do you know what? It's actually given me a platform for free. And that's probably one of the biggest helps someone can give, because I've actually got a gig like this coming up in the next few weeks, and I had to pay quite a lot of money. And then I received the text message about last week from a friend, and they were like, it's free, like, go ahead. And I was like, of course. So just the fact that they've given me a place in such a well-known place like Brook Lane, so much footfall, just to have my own brand up is just amazing.
And what I love about this as well is that everyone gets a little take-home certificate when they have completed your masterclass. I love that. Right, okay, well, I don't know about you, but I want a little top-up. Hey?
Are you sure?
Back to you, Edith.
Thank you, love. Now, our next interviewee left the world of maths and physics behind to become a bright light in the world of design. Her inventions are saving lives and finding all about Emily Brooke from Blaze. This is George Ellie.
I'm Emily and I have a company called Blaze, and we make products for urban cyclists. The flagship's the laser light, and it tackles the biggest cause of fatality, which is the blind spot, or a vehicle turning across a bike they can't see. It's a front light, but it also has a laser, and it projects the symbol of a bike about 20 feet on the ground in front of you. So the driver ahead can see you coming, doesn't pull out in your path.
Yeah, it's such a sick idea. Like, I've read about it already, and we were talking before, like, you know that you must have actually seriously saved people's lives, right?
Apparently so, yeah. I mean, it's a very simple idea. It's just making you more visible when you're otherwise hidden, but a really big problem. We hosted our 1 year anniversary, and we had my dad came up to London, and it's really nice kind of chatting to customers. Loads of our backers from Kickstarter came, and one guy just came up to me and said, look, I need to tell you a story, and described a situation where he was biking along and a woman was pulling out of a junction, and she saw the light on the ground in front of him, and he saw her clock that, and jam on the brakes and then clock him. And he said that she missed his hip on the bike by millimetres, and if she hadn't jammed on the brakes that split second before, you have no idea what would have happened, but that makes everything worthwhile.
Yeah, like avoiding accidents left, right and centre. Yes. Yeah, really good. So you mentioned Kickstarter. Like, how did you go about sort of funding your business, like from the original idea to this point?
So we launched on Kickstarter the month that Kickstarter came to the UK.
Okay.
Which is kind of a lot of fun because people didn't really know what the hell Kickstarter was. But yeah, we launched on that, we did really well. We've got 30 grand beyond our target. But that wasn't to fund the company, that was to prove demand. So that was to say, before Kickstarter, I was a little girl with a cool idea from uni. And then after Kickstarter, it's like, no, this could be a business, people will pay for this, people think it's a good idea.
If you were starting your business today, what 3 tips do you wish that you've been given?
Test it before you start selling it. So test the market, ask for feedback, listen to that feedback, iterate to make sure that your product is as well fitted to the people you're going to be selling it to as possible. Get on with it. Just get on with it.
Yeah.
You are going to learn so much more about doing than you are thinking about doing. And the last one is, I spent my first year terrified. Absolutely terrified. Am I doing this the right way? Is this the right way? Is that the right way? Or is that the right way? I'm not sure which way is right. Like, is this right? Is like constantly questioning, am I doing this the right way? So just don't get stressed out about worrying if it's the right way. There's going to be lots of ways to get there. Just get on and do it. And then you'll learn lots more by doing.
Thanks, Georgia, and a great insight there from Emily and her experiences through Kickstarter as well, which I know a lot of new businesses use as well. But such a simple and effective invention. Now, one thing that all our experts have told us is the importance of having the right team behind you and building on that as well. Alex Barkley is leading sessions all weekend and explains its importance in solving problems together.
My name is Alex Barclay and I'm the Experience Design Strategy Lead at Accenture. I also am founder of the XDs Collective, which is an interdisciplinary not-for-profit collective of roughly 300 people. And what we do is we take a problem, often a social problem, and we try and solve it, usually through workshops and rapid, accelerated learning, hackathon-based formats. Many problems can be solved using design thinking or design-led processes. And in terms of just taking a problem, asking or interrogating that problem in order to find better questions about how we could create solutions, and then through a rapid iteration of prototypes, like real things, real experiences, products and services, we can find better solutions more quickly working together. So this hackathon is a combination of all of those different types of talent and skill sets and disciplines that we have both within the XDs and within Accenture. And the problem that we are trying to solve is really about how you can create value, different types of value and more meaningful connections for bodies, buildings and businesses at particular local levels. So we're looking at North Woolwich, which has had real trouble in terms of regeneration. We're looking at Peckham, which is approaching gentrification, and with it comes other sorts of social, cultural and economic issues. And we're looking at another tract of land called Fish Island in Hackney, where again there's an opportunity to create a sense of belonging to a place or a more meaningful connection between people in order to create more value and more sustainable value over the longer term. The task for this weekend is to create insight about what moves people, what will connect to people, what they care about, as well as what businesses need, what the desired outcomes are for those businesses, whether they are small independent businesses or much larger based businesses, and to create a series of products, services, experiences, a whole ecosystem of those things that we can then take and pilot in the real world. So real things for real people with real problems, real businesses and real value creation. That is what we're looking to do in the next 72 hours here. The outputs from this series of quick sprints really will be a number of prototypes of different sorts of products and service, which we could then pilot in the real world. So in those 3 spaces across London. The other part of that, the really important part of that, is it provides us with a model that we can use to take to other parts of the UK and possibly across the planet too. So for instance, areas of Nottingham or Newcastle or Middlesbrough, because what we're looking at doing is finding ways of creating value in those kinds of areas, developing a model that will enable us to do that. The other outputs from this weekend will be an enormous amount of learning for the people that are participating in this experience. There will be new networks, there will be new types of ways that different disciplines can be leveraged and kind of entwined to deliver these new sorts of things. There will be different types of insight developed in relation to the end users of the experiences that we deliver. And alongside that, there is a really big story to be told about how a bunch of people who care about making a difference, care about making change, got together, pooled their resources, donated their time and made something happen.
Some more brilliant, insightful advice. Now, I'm now joined by Samad Masood, who is from a hackathon sponsor, Accenture, and also Nasha and Joseph, who are two super partners who are taking part in the hackathon. Before we start getting down to questions, whilst we were watching that film, what do you think of the team building exercise that the crew and I did whilst we were doing that? What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think that's probably the best house we've seen today.
Well, we saw that in the VT there as well, making that and kind of part of that whole process of, these things and these brilliant opportunities that everyone's having a chance to get involved in. So tell us a little bit about this kind of thinking behind this type of exercise.
So this was our team building exercise. We've got 5 teams of 5-6 people, and just to get them together, we asked them in a minute to build a post-it note house and then name it, and then that became the team name for them. And then they got on with the hackathon.
And tell us about your involvement in the event today for Accenture.
So Accenture is a global technology company, and we're running a hackathon as part of Supa Academy about bringing communities and spaces, buildings, businesses and bodies together. Mm-hmm. And the hackathon is including super partners, specialists from urban design, technologists, policymakers, all working together in teams in 2.5 days to come up with great new technologies and ideas to make really sticky, cool spaces across the UK.
Now, you two guys have been involved in the hackathon, your super partners. What have you been up to? What has it involved for you two?
So as Samad was saying, we received a brief, and then so that tells us about the spaces and kind of the communities that need regeneration. Yeah. And then so we get told, and then we do some research and looking into them. So that was yesterday, and kind of coming up with initial ideas. Yeah. And then today was more about building personas, which help us understand the people that are part of those places. And then do you want to?
And in our group, we're basically working with Peckham. And obviously, Peckham in the past was could be looked at as quite a bad area by a lot of people. Yeah. But what we thought to do was compare 2 personas of, say, a new person coming into the area and someone who's been there for a long time. And we thought a nice thing to do was find something that both of those groups could do together. Like in order to make sure they were like in the same space for a certain amount of time. So maybe like 2 weeks on, they could like see each other in the street and say hi to each other.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's kind of very simple sort of ideas, but you can, in a bigger scale, they have a real impact.
Yeah, well, we're really hoping that some of the great ideas and prototypes that come out of this are something that we can start using further on, and we'll have other events following up to try and help advise policy, but help entrepreneurs come up with new ideas and build stronger communities. So it's fun, and it also has a great purpose.
Why is this event important for entrepreneurs like yourself?
I think it's really important because, I mean, first of all, it's an opportunity to work with a brilliant company like Accenture, leaders in management consulting. And I know that I was a bit nervous. I was like, it's going to be a bit daunting working with like top professionals, but they've been so friendly and warm and welcoming. Yeah. And just kind of giving an insight into sometimes what can be quite challenging concepts, but just understanding this is how you kind of build design, because the XD collective and kind of how you come up with ideas, and you actually need to have a solution. You need to think, why is this going to make this person's life better? Yeah. Bringing like technology and physical things together.
amazing for you guys to have, you know, kind of access to these experienced kind of companies as well, to then further you guys as well. Thank you so much for your time and for coming to chat to us. It's great to meet you. Please, can we keep the paper? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, guys. Now let's hear from Georgia, who caught up with Barclays Finance Officer Peter Estlin for the lowdown on getting funding to get your business off the ground.
So here I am with Peter Estlin. From what I understand, you're a big cheese at a bank. Can you explain?
Well, I work for Barclays, and I'm CFO, which means Chief Financial Officer of one of the divisions.
How can Barclays and Supa Academy help young people in business?
Firstly, as part of what we call life skills, we're working with, at the moment, about 2/3 of secondary schools in the UK. And that's really trying to develop skills around money, entrepreneurship, enterprise. So really giving them a sense of life after school. But the second then is obviously as these individuals and young entrepreneurs want to get money, then obviously we're one source of potentially raising money. As I was saying to some of the panelists here today, you've got debt and you've got equity. We tend to do mainly debt, which is lending people money and they have to then pay that back. And then there are a number of other investors out there who will do equity investment, where they're effectively taking a share of your business for the cash.
Like, if I was going to start a business, do I have to get in debt in the first few years, or can I do it without?
The likelihood is if it's going to take off, you're going to want a lot of capital, and that's when you would then probably do an equity investment. So you'd start by borrowing a little, a few £100, and then moving, and then maybe getting a bigger investment, maybe 25, 50,000, which more likely would be an equity investment or a mixture of equity and debt.
So it's kind of having the balls to take a mortgage out on yourself.
Yeah, to some extent. What we've got to do is find ways of giving people access to finance who've got great ideas but don't necessarily have that wealth.
Can anybody, seriously anybody, no matter their background and how much money they have, start a business?
Yeah, I think they do. The question is how you go about it. All right. What it matters is you've got a great idea, you thought about it, and you're able to connect. And there are different ways of connecting.
What piece of advice specifically about managing their cash flow would you give them?
So use the internet to get some insight into who's out there, but it is the basic element. So you're going to borrow some money, are you going to raise equity? You've got to understand the flow dynamics, because a number of businesses do go out of business because they run out of cash. They may have invested in a lot of goods to sell, but if they can't sell them, then they're stuck.
So when it comes to managing the money of a new business, was the example you use of buying too much stock the most common problem that you see?
No, it's not the most common, but it's one of them. It's really not asking questions, and you may have great ideas, but don't be afraid of asking other people for advice, because actually a lot of people will give it to you.
Cool, thank you.
Pleasure.
You see, as Georgia asked there, anyone can do it. Anyone can. So what's stopping you? Let's head back to the floor and see what Ria's up to.
Thanks, Edith. Well, I've got to tell you, I'm feeling a little bit peckish because there is the most incredible food stalls here. We've got salt beef burgers, Thai amazing goodness. They've even got Japanese hot dogs. Japanese hot dogs, folks. Really different food, but all amazing nonetheless. And one of my favourite stalls, I've got to confess, because I am partial to a little glass of Prosecco, is the calamari and Prosecco here. You having a nice time, guys? Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. We've also got pasta and lasagna, but most importantly, folks, we have cake. We have the most incredible cake stall, which is just here. And I've got to tell you, I absolutely love this sign. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy cake. So, who have I got here? What's your name, lovely?
I'm May, and I make the cakes.
Amazing. Talk me through these incredible cakes, because everybody loves a bit of cake.
So we've got carrot and almond cake, which is really popular. It's really healthy, and you can't go wrong. Nice classic. And we've got our showstopper. This is kind of an original recipe that I made up, and it's a salt caramel cake with caramel that's been swirled through the cake.
Amazing. Is it a bit like banoffee pie?
A little bit.
Oh, I love banoffee pie. And what about this one? Because this looks super healthy.
I'm actually celiac, so I can't have gluten, so I love this cake. It's a berry loaf. It's just berries and gluten-free flour, very simple to make and healthy as well.
Fabulous. So tell me, how did you get involved in the Supa Academy?
So I got a call from a girl called Sarah. I mean, I started this for this business basically because I was bored of my work in fashion. I wanted something else, and I kind of basically started on my own. I had no support, and I just thought it'd be really nice to like inspire younger people just to do this, because you don't always have to work for someone else. You can work for yourself. So.
Absolutely. And have you had a really good day?
Yeah, it's been really lovely, and it's been so nice because we met some really nice girls who've helped us on the stall, and yeah, it's been really good.
Okay, well, I think it's about time we had a slice of this cake. Edith, I'll make sure I save one for you, eh?
Please.
Ooh, let's have that one.
Please, I am starving back here. My mouth's watering with the talk of all that amazing food. Right now, earlier on, we had advice from some of the biggest names in retail, and we said we had more information from them, and here it is.
I would imagine there's quite a lot of people here who are probably maybe quite interested in fashion, because fashion's quite a tough one to get it set up and to actually start turning a profit. I mean, what kind of big things have you seen?
As ironic as it sounds, fashion and apparel and accessories are no longer about what you sell and what you make. It's about the experience that you give your customer. You're buying into the experience and affiliating yourself with that brand. So what I would say is, if you're going into fashion and you're going into retail, try to focus on, okay, why have I done this and what are my customers buying into?
This is the first door you need to think about, you know, whether you've got a physical store or an online only store. This is your first front door you've got to get right. 60% of our traffic now is on this. Next year it'll be 80%. The year after that, it'll be 90%. So mobile. Get that experience right first. Have people who understand that, build that expertise, obsess about it. And then, as Kate says, and we've all been saying, I think, be really, what's the reason that you exist? Why would I want to come as a customer? And what problem are you solving? What barriers are you taking down? Because if you can't explain that clearly, you won't be successful.
What kind of advice could you give them in terms of how they can kind of maximise that potential?
I think my advice I'd give you on the day, though, is just make sure, that every single experience has to be consistent and brilliant. If you're tired, doesn't matter. If you're busy, doesn't matter. Every single one's got to be consistent and brilliant, and make sure you've got people around you that complement you and support that brilliant experience. That's the most important thing. And for those that don't buy, but are interested, what are you doing to capture their interest and then follow up with them afterwards?
I guess whatever your idea is, try to ask people for feedback all the time, figure out how you can improve. I guess there's some kind of story behind that you need to try and tell people. Why is it that you're excited about this? Why have you come here today? And if you can try and tell people that story, then maybe they'll get as excited about it as you are.
If there's three things, I would say, number one, be memorable. Number two, make people fall in love with you. And number three, be too good to be true. Whenever you're selling anything, as Mark said, the minute you're on, you've got to be on. And you've got to make every single customer remember you.
Do you have any kind of future predictions of where we think retail's going to go in 10 years? What are we going to be doing? How are we going to be buying things? How are we going to be interacting with brands?
I think we are going to go full circle right back to the world of bespoke retail. It used to be that you wanted instant gratification and you wanted accessibility to everything online and on your phone. We're going back down that individual slope now where everything has to be bespoke. And I think the other thing as well is this whole thing about retailers are going to start thinking for you and knowing what you're thinking. So predictive delivery is going to be another really cool thing that's going to take off. It is mental when you think about it.
So I guess your idea and your business and your brand's got to get better and better at cutting through that. And your message has to become so much more simple, so focused. You have to be really clear about why your idea exists and why somebody else should care about it. And I guess it just becomes more and more of a challenge to stand out in a noisier and noisier world.
I'd agree with everything that's been said there, and just building on that maybe a little bit. You look at what's been happening in the supermarket. Being big is no longer good enough for customers. And it comes back to this point about being more specialist, being more bespoke, cutting through, and those people that do that will be really, really successful.
Cool. I think it's about time to sort of maybe wrap it up, give you guys a bit of a break. Could we have a big round of applause for our panellists? Thank you so much.
So apparently this thing that we just rely on it so much for our lives, but it's incredibly important, as you heard in that piece of film from one of our panels. Now, we live our lives, as he said, around these things, and here to tell us why is Mark Allery from EE talking to Georgia.
I'm Mark Allery. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at EE. I lead a team of 7,500 people across our retail division, almost 600 stores up and down the UK. We serve and sell to around 30 million customers in the UK on a daily basis. I actually started in the video games industry as a young person, selling video games when they used to come as discs and cassettes at the time. Obviously, most things are now downloaded online. It was great fun. It was a young and vibrant industry and a brilliant place to start a career. And you know, my most fond memories, I think, were the people I worked with and my bosses as well. They were such a huge influence on my career and helped me get to where I am today. Retail has changed so much in the last few years. You know, I think the biggest change is the influence of online, digital, and now most importantly mobile on retailers. You know, I think all retailers need to think about a mobile smartphone as being the first front door. Young entrepreneurs keeping up with these changes and trends should be ideally placed because they're young. And you know, they've grown up as digital natives, really. So you know, they've grown up with smartphones, they've grown up with social networks, whereas I guess some older consumers haven't done. So I think they're ideally placed. The most important thing they need to do is just stay in touch with consumers, consumer trends, and never lose touch with what your customers are saying about your experience. Now more than ever, the impact of a recommendation is hugely important for a brand's success. So they have to really think about consistency and making that brilliant experience every single minute of every single day. I think the best way for a company to grow, you know, there are many ingredients that are required. A clear brand proposition is probably the most important thing. You know, why do you exist? Why should customers come to you? What problems are you solving? And how are you taking friction and barriers away for customers? So get your proposition right has to be the most important thing, and then surround yourself with great people who complement you. You know, there's no point having a team around you of people who are identical. You need complementary skills, people who are good at different things, and then the magic will happen.
There you go. Thinking mobile phone is the first door to get through. That's a new one for me. Right, we're going to head back for the last time and see what Ria is up to on the shop floor.
Thanks, Edith. Well, we really have had the most amazing day. There's just so many talented people here, all under one roof. It's unreal. From the jewellery to the printed artwork to the food to the yoga. But it wouldn't be right with ending today without speaking to this guy, Pins, because he is unreal. Hey, Pins, how you doing?
Hello, not too bad, thanks.
Talk me through your business.
Yep, so I'm Pins, I'm an artist, I'm a brand, and I've got a thing for donuts. I love donuts, yeah. And
are these some of the clothes that you've made?
They're all limited edition, so I do about 20 pieces per unit, so they're all limited. I don't sell to shops. I just want to remain independent sort of thing, and yeah, that's what we do. And all my art is very engaging, thought-provoking, and I try to interact with the public as much as possible. So
you've got some accessories here as well. Let's have a quick look at those. Yeah. What are these about?
So I've got a batch of stickers here, got Oyster card holders, which are pretty slick. You got here this one's called Crispy Pins, fresh like donuts, sharp like pins. We all like to look fresh like donuts, but we need to be sharp like pins, because otherwise you're just a donut and you get eaten up. So that's kind of the philosophy behind that one. And just loads of little merchandise, very cool, very original and fresh. And I love it.
I love that. And how has the Academy helped you?
Amazing. I think
Hello.
BJ.
BJ, the founder.
This guy, I love what he's doing, and I'm here because of this guy and the team and what they've done, and I think it's great.
It was a week ago.
It's a week ago. I met this guy after ages, and then he told me what he's doing, and I just wanted to support. So yeah.
Well, it's been an amazing day. Have you had a good time?
Great time. A mustache though.
So tell me about this wall, because this is an inspiration wall, right? What are we doing here?
So this is basically anyone who walks past the multicoloured sellotape on the floor has to get involved and interact and do something. I mean, I just want people to let go and just do whatever they want. I think we need to bring out the inner child in us a bit more, and that's about it really. Just
I love that. You have totally inspired me. Can I have a little go? Yeah, I'll do a quick doodle. Thank you. Okay, all right. My whole mantra is Carpe Diem, seize the day, everyday people. Hopefully it's inspired you too. Okay, back to you, Edith.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I am heading straight there as soon as we are finished. We don't have long left, I'm afraid. But we heard earlier on from Holly Salmon-Alice from Simon Cowell's label Psycho, and we're going to head back and get some more from them right now.
So, guys, while we've got you here, I think there's, big changes going on in the music industry. So I think it'd be really cool to ask you kind of some big questions about kind of what's going on at the moment. I suppose the first one would be kind of what is the cycle of a campaign?
The beginning of a new campaign for a returning artist kind of happens straight after their last album. So our processes can take from 2 years to sometimes 1 month. So you have to be fairly flexible about working in either way. So the first thing we'll often do is kind of sit down with the artist, think about where their head's at, what they enjoyed, what they might not have enjoyed, and then look at what we've achieved. So we'll come up with a big marketing plan. What's the music likely to sound like? What are we going to do? What kind of activities should we be doing? What's our digital strategy? And then from there, we kind of kick off into the campaign and go forward.
How do you just keep everything sort of on track as it's going? Because it's a lot of things juggling at the same time.
I think our job is very juggling based. And that's what makes it fun, because there are all these, it's a bit like a jigsaw. You've got all these different elements and they're all weird shapes. Some are circles, some are triangles, but somehow you have to make them all fit together, and in the end they do. Most of the time. So then it's about working with the artists, working out what they're going to do. The music will get developed. We'll do a photo shoot. We'll make a video, so we have to commission all those things. Then kind of comes the release of the music. And then it's about marketing that music and that product as well as possible.
Do you always try and kind of work in the way that the artist is feeling? And what happens if that doesn't quite tally up to like what your insights or the direction you think they should go in?
I think the most important thing is to be honest. So there have been occasions where the artist really wants to be something and we go, this is so wrong. And maybe it's that they want to make a heavy metal album, but their audience are actually into K-pop. Although those conversations can be incredibly difficult and make you kind of grit your teeth a bit, they do, on the whole, really value that honesty and really value the fact that you know this much about them in order to go forward.
It's kind of hard to know exactly what direction you should be going in and what you should be when you are actually in it. Yeah. And even for us actually being in a label, sometimes it's really refreshing for people outside to go, actually, you've done that completely wrong. What are you thinking?
How do you work out what kind of information to take on board and what to kind of just outrageously ignore?
Working in the industry, you have an instinct, and that can be wrong, but at the same time, if you've got reason for your methods, then and you're kind of going together as a team, then you know. One of the things we try to do is understand our audiences beyond music. You do have to totally be sensitive and credit people with an understanding and a knowledge, but then also sometimes be brave enough to go, this is what people are expecting, but because we know A, B, C and D about them and this is what's happening with the artist, we're going to surprise them by going a different way around.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let's have a big round of applause for our panel.
There we go. I think we should really have a big round of applause for these two guys, because they're the reason that this is all happening. BJ and Liam, well done, guys. What an amazing... Just from doing this show for an hour and a half and hearing everyone talk about everything, it's just been incredible. How's it been for you?
It's been really exciting. It's kind of passed us by like a whirlwind. There's like a lot of running around. You kind of try and live in the moment, but there's people, can we do this? Can we do this? Yeah. But it's for both of us, I know I speak on behalf of both of us when I say it, that we're truly kind of overwhelmed by how well received the event's been, and just like for us, this has been 12 months in the making and has been a lot of kind of sweat and tears. I'm not going to say blood, I don't think anyone did bleed, but
actually Peter, our director, did just before we came on air. But so yeah, we got that. Yeah.
We're overwhelmed with kind of like the reception, and just hope that, as for us, this is the first activation of a new brand that didn't have kind of any exposure or kind of awareness before. So for us, we just hope that we've inspired some young people, we've made our partners believe that we're the kind of right people to deliver these types of kind of activations. And we're just excited about what's coming next.
You've made an impression with this across the board. So just quickly, EG, what's the future?
I think the future is about, well, number one, there's two outcomes, I think.
We've got 30 seconds, so can you...
it's very quick. The first outcome is those young people who are here today, what happens with them next? So what happens in 3 months, what happens in 6 months? It's not about putting on an event, but it's about a journey. So we believe in a thing called efficacy. And in the education world, it's about that kind of long-term impact and change you have in someone's career. And the second thing for us is kind of just disrupting other industries that young people want to go into. So today we did retail. Why can't we do fashion? Why can't we do music? Why can't we do sport? Why can't you plug people in with brands? Oh, movies. And the final one is it's just about kind of investing in the future as well.
Yeah.
So us being able to back them as well.
Amazing. Listen, congratulations, guys. Thank you so much. It's the start of something absolutely wonderful and so important for young people as well. Thanks to Ria, to Georgia and to Julia. Thanks to the Super Partners and, of course, the sponsors as well. I hope you found it interesting and fascinating. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure to be part of it. And if you want more information, they can head to the website, which is...
super-academy.com, and if you want to buy some products that are in the supermarket, go to supermarket.super-academy.com and you can look at all the products that are kind of on sale in the venue.
Done. Thank you for watching.
S-U-P-A.
S-U-P-A. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.